Welcome to the 15th broadcast of the T-ROH show. It's your host, Keith. I got John with me.
Good morning, folks. We've got brought you some more entertainment. Hope you enjoy it.
All right. What we have here today is we're going to be talking about what a article we put in the newspaper. And the PAGs found this, at least one of them did, across America, found this particular information. There is some other stuff that I haven't looked through yet that came in an email. I'll just wait for that for later. There was another one of some groundbreaking findings or something. I just got to find it and look at it and see what we can do with it on the program here. Okay, so what this is the Administrative Office of the United States Courts found to administer serious ethics violations in every case in existence within the United States. There's also a federal judge that came in, and I think she had cancer, and it just say federal judge confession. You can find it on YouTube, and she talks about how the administrative offices have them go. They return. In other words, when they find somebody innocent, the administrators will ask them to change their judgment the next day. It's so they can get paid on the bonds. So all this started coming together. I've got another document to show here in just a little while. Because we have this evidence here, and now I'm more confident about showing the CRIS system document. All right, so in every case, what's going on is every case in existence, whether it's in a local municipality, a state court, or federal court, is open to a third-party investors, whether the case is in the middle of a decision or not. Okay, so the chief judge in every case can accept third-party investor funds into what is called the court registry investment system. That's the CRIS system. This has been out. This is nothing new. So anybody that's seen this before, you'll see what we're talking about. But anybody that hasn't, that's how the system works. And disputed ownership fund. Okay, it takes a chief judge signature to approve the investors' funds that is overseen by the registry monitoring group. Okay, if it takes a chief judge signature, that means he's a broker. That's all he's doing. Can you imagine that? Okay, the guy who's making decisions in the court case is accepting third-party investors. Okay, and then they'll say, oh, no, it's the chief judge that does it, and the chief judge doesn't sit on those cases. Oh, really? But a chief judge is under or directly over all of the judges. So yes, he's sitting on every case. Whether it's a man or a woman, they're sitting on every case, regardless of who's sitting on the bench. Because remember, it's a dictatorial basis. They're organized under a dictatorial basis. Okay, so this means the chief judge is nothing more than a brokerage agency in every case. Now, most lawyers are looking for rules of the court in lower numbers. It says, however, they have seemed to miss those rules in the thousands, and in particular, Rule 70671-1 registry funds. So it's 7067-1 registry funds, and that's this right here. Is a deposit funds into court registry account. A party who wishes to deposit funds while litigation is pending may move the court to have such funds deposited into the court's registry account. The movement must attach a proposed order directing investment, which includes the following: the amount to be invested, mode of deposit, check, wire, transfer. Oh, you got to tell them how you're going to get the money to them. And says no funds may be sent for deposit in the court's registry without first obtaining a court order signed by the presiding judge in the case or proceeding. It says the party making the deposit or transferring the funds to the court's registry account must serve the order permitting the deposit or transfer on the clerk. So, guess who the clerk works for? That's the IRS. That's the Internal Revenue Trust that's offshore. They're all in, isn't that right, John? They're all internal revenue agents?
Yes, they are.
And that was out of their mouth, correct?
Yes, the clerk of the court up here told me that. He said he didn't run the county, he just paid the bills. So if he pays the bills, he's got to send it to somewhere so he can get the money back to pay the bills with. And that makes him an IRS agent. That's what he said.
Uh-huh. Okay. It says, unless provided for elsewhere by this rule, all money is ordered to be paid to the court in case pending or adjudicated. must be deposited with the Treasurer of the United States in the name of the and to the credit of this court pursuant to 28 USC 2041 through a depository is designated by the Treasury to accept such deposit on its behalf. And it goes on. All right, now where does this talk about? Oh, let's go further. Just a little bit though. I don't want to bore you with the rest of it. You can go look at it yourself. It's right on rainattheheavens.com. It's under Administrative Office of the United States Courts. So, whereby order of the court, funds on deposit with the court are to be placed in some form of interest-bearing account or invested in a court-approved interest-bearing instrument in accordance with Rule 67 of the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. The Court Registry Investment System, that's the CRIS, C-R-I-S, administered by the Administrative Office of the United States Courts under 28 USC 2045, is the only investment mechanism authorized. Interpleader funds deposited under this 1335 meet the IRS definition of a disputed ownership fund, a taxable entity that requires tax administration. Unless otherwise ordered by the court, interpleader funds shall be deposited in the DOF established within the CRIS and administered by the Administrative Office of the United States Courts, which shall be responsible for meeting all DOF tax administration requirements. Now, I'm interpreting that as if a court, in other words, if you're found innocent, is that correct? So they wait 5 or 6 years?
I believe that's what it's saying, Keith.
So 5, 6, 7 years, whatever it is, and then it's abandoned and they go grab it? They just don't tell you about it?
Yes, sir. I know they do the same thing with the checks that's been written on the bank, 3 years, and they collect it for you, put it in their pocket. Same thing with the court.
Okay. Now this is what happens, folks, when you have a stock market involved with your court system. This violates every ethics rule they have. So the ethics rule is just out there to just look pretty. Okay, it's just there for pretty. It looks pretty, like little roses in front of a house, and that's about it. But there's no such thing as ethics rules. They don't go by those. Okay, you can't do this. You can. I mean, this is open to so much crap. You're talking about barratry. So prosecutors can just make cases up and stuff just to grab the bond money and put people through a bunch of crap all the time. If you don't believe me, here we go. Deposit investment and registry funds. This is miscellaneous here. Order regarding deposit investment and registry funds. And then it goes into the order and where it should go. And this is where all of our investors can come in and get the fees and taxes. And it all looks nice and pretty. And this was dated this 13th day of March 2017. And it was signed by a chief United States District Judge. Okay, and by the way, we have another one in case you think that was a fluke. Here's another one, another order, administrative order. And this is in New Mexico. In the matter of deposit and investment of registry funds. It's all there. In other words, folks, whoever doesn't think that they're doing this, y'all have been caught. You're done. To be able to get this kind of evidence is awesome. Okay, there's the signature. And there they go. So every case they have, they create bonds based on statutes and the value of the statute. And remember that they're also, why does that statute have value? Because every statute that's passed affects companies. And when it affects companies, the politicians, they're so-called 527 organizations, what they do is they go and invest in the company that that statute is about to prop up and make their stocks worth more. That's how Pelosi is able to live in a gargantuan freaking house. That's why she's got millions of dollars, because what they do is every time these 527 organizations get ready to pass a policy, it's going to affect the stock market or the stocks in a particular company. And when they do that, they all invest in that company when the stocks are low, and then they pass the policy. And when they pass the policy, the stocks go through the roof. And they've all just made millions. And then if you want to keep, if anybody ever finds out, what you do is you pass another policy that says insider trading is okay for them, not you. All right. So that's how all this works. It was the same thing with Obamacare. They knew Obamacare was going to trash insurance companies. So, and they knew they could get in there and fix it. So they trashed the insurance companies. Everybody invested in the insurance companies when the stock was low, and then they got in there and Trump's saved the day, and now all the insurance stocks went really high. So everybody made millions doing that, and they get everybody going. You have to pay for this. They knew it was wrong when they did it. They had placed a turd in a punch bowl before it even started. So that's what's happening. That's what's going on with the 527 organizations. 527 organization is basically nothing more than a they call them today political parties, but it's just a private company. They're not national parties. We've heard many say that they're not national parties. Okay, so they're not national political parties. Just understand that they're just private companies doing what they do best, which is take as much as they possibly can. Okay, so if a defendant walks into any courtroom, a chief judge has brokered a deal with a third party investor. This means that an ex parte meeting has occurred, and or maybe a judge will interpret that occurrence in some other manner under Marbury versus Madison, where judges can interpret that ex parte meeting as a country club diner or dinner. So no, that wasn't an ex parte meeting. No, that was a dinner. We were at a charity. It's usually they always go to the charities and foundations, right? Because they're all just charitable people. Either way, if the court has a chance to make millions by finding you guilty, what chance does anyone have of receiving a fair trial? You know how much stuff we get? Wait till you see what I'm about to show you. If the case is dismissed, the prosecutor has to pay out of his or her own pocket to settle the bond. What are the odds of you receiving due process or a fair trial? Keep in mind that if most, if not all, trials are already decided when the defendant goes into any court, and the House always wins, especially when the stock market is involved. Keep that in mind. You are always going to lose somewhere or somehow. Even if you're innocent, you have to pay court costs. Oh well, yes, you were found innocent, but the court costs were $235. Either way you look at it, that's what's going to happen to you. So what we're looking at is not a judicial branch. It's not a judiciary branch. What it is a company. It's a business. Has made a business out of the law. That's it. Okay, now that we have this evidence, let me show you something else here. I'm pretty confident that this research is pretty good. Okay, so that's page 56. Here we go. I'm looking all the way to the front. Here's the court registry investment system, and this is cash in. This is you. This is when you come in. This is the cash in right here, and then the court receipt, deposit in Treasury, then Treasury accountability. They buy and sell the Treasury securities. The Federal Reserve Bank, J.P. Morgan. It says accountability transfer funds from court unit Treasury symbol to Chris TXS Treasury symbol. No checks exchanged. Funds always controlled by either Treasury or the Federal Reserve Bank. Then you have non-standard withdrawals, wire transfers, transfer securities, controlled disbursements, court disperse, cash out, and check. Transfer of accountability, AO 283, bankruptcy 1166. You have control points, all that fun stuff. So there's a lot of money in court. So why not make some laws that they know they're just worthless, and they know that it doesn't really matter? Why don't they just tax the water, rainwater? Okay, and if it's hitting some cement, we'll tax you for that. They can create more bonds because they know people aren't going to pay those. So they're going to do what? They have to take it to court for collections, and they create more bonds. That's all that's going on. That's how these guys do business. It's sick, but that's how they do business. Meanwhile, they're killing 60 million children. That's the way it works. So here's some of the money they make. Here's the income allocation, case deposit amounts. And let me make this a little bigger so people can see these.
Keith, they've already got part of that on the books. That watershed tax. They tax your property according to how much roof area and concrete you have on buildings you have on it,
Yeah.
because the water can't reach the dirt and soak in to the aquifer. It's already on the books.
Well, you're hurting Earth, right? And they're there to protect Earth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And if
because somebody elected them to protect Earth. Because I think Earth made a vote. Didn't Earth give them or what do you call it, power of attorney to speak for
I,
Earth?
I heard the dirt out there arguing about something. That's probably what it was.
Yeah, because Earth is now they're speaking for Earth now, so they're
Yeah.
representing Earth against you.
Yes, sir.
That was when now that what people don't get on that one is that was a executive order signed by John F. Kennedy back in 1962. It was 1962, I believe. And what it was is to create this thing called global warming, to where they now speak on behalf of Earth, and everything you do hurts Earth.
Yep.
So they have you the enemy of Earth. So that's a perpetual war.
EPA comes in under the same system, but
Mm-hmm.
let's don't go there right now.
Right. I just wanted to show everybody what that was and where that came from. I remember watching that video back in the 90s. He had all the, I think it was Iron Mountain Report. He had all the evidence there. Now
Yep.
we're looking at the beginning. Chris balance was $721,838,084. There's a lot of money in this deal. You think you're going to get these guys out of this whorehouse with a free sex card? I don't think so. They're not gonna leave willingly. Ending Chris balance. Okay, here's the case amount withdrawals, case deposits. There's some people making a lot of money just in court cases alone, and a lot of money. Just it's a nice little system they've got for everybody. Now here's just minors cases. Okay, these are people minors. These are children. These are children cases, and what you're looking at here is a lot of money in charging children with crimes or CPS. Big money involved in that, and it's here. Here's the original date and then the balance date. Here's the ending balance: $58,533.51. Interest was $1,604.44, and they have all these children in Hawk. That's what's going on. 400,000 goes on, and if you haven't puked yet, hold on a second. Here's number 8, minors cases. This is all that money. We've gone through this before to an extent, but we have the evidence now, and so I don't mind doing this at all. It's number 10. These are all the pages of all the money. This might be just one day in the country itself. This was back in '93. They just have all these bonds and they just sit and they wait for this money to come in every day. They have one from 1998 to 1994 to 2006. That one made $8,641 in interest on that one. And what is that interest paid by? Oh, I don't know, taxpayers. That's what they're paying on. Here's a 2000. There was a 6-year case, 189,000 that they made on that. The principal was 166 because what they're doing is they're creating a bond and they sell the bond off, and they use that to invest in the court case and all that jazz, and then they pass it off to the taxpayers when they end up going to jail. Jail's big money.
Yeah,
They,
the interest money over there that's what the man makes. It actually bought the bond.
yeah.
And he earned that much interest, and the courts earned the rest of it.
For the use of his money
Yeah.
and all that. So I remember seeing one time there was Bob Barker soap. They were selling in there. They had his name on it because
Oh.
he was investing in these things,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where he was making his money. Is Bob Barker soap. He was selling it to all the prisons. You notice I'm going here. We're on the 10th page. I just keep go as we're talking. That's how many cases. This is just one. This is a drop in the bucket, guys. 24, 25. It just keeps going. These are civil cases. CV. Now you know what's been going on while you've been watching football. These are just children. These are your children here.
And the thing of it is no telling how many times they sold that one bond on that one case.
Mm-hmm.
It's unlimited how much time they can sell it. But now look at those. Oh, right. Now look at the bottom numbers. Okay, so there's
82.
$1,815,982 and change. That's interest on that case that man made by buying the bonds, loaning his money to the county to use.
Huh. Interesting, isn't it? How they do
Yep.
this value of maturity. Oh, it gets even better. There's 40 million. Net interest was 256,875.
Yeah, just count it off in the numbers of three and thousand, 100,000, and millions.
Yeah, this is all cash, by the way, because when they say total liquidity funds assets,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what that means.
Total liquid. That's right.
$122 million investable amount at the Treasury.
Cash on hand.
Uh-huh. That
I
they've
don't
taken
care.
out of everybody's pay the fine, guilty, pay the fine, guilty, pay the fine. That's what you get.
Yep.
There is no way you're going to get out of you're going to get a fair trial in any of these courts. Nowhere, because there's too much money in not um, collecting money. It's all about money, guys.
That little item right there makes every court case up there illegal because they have a vested interest in the case. Therefore, they should recuse themselves and
Yeah,
get out.
everyone in that courtroom running that court has a vested monetary interest in that case.
Absolutely. Makes it interesting, doesn't it, folks?
And this whole thing, in my personal opinion, just needs to go. This monster is this is not a you have treasury involved, you have stock market involved, you've got money involved, you got Federal Reserve involved, you got all these things involved in your court system. And there's nothing there. Yeah, everybody who passes the policies, they're all involved in it. It all becomes us against them is what happened. You've got a whole big monster against you.
This bill right here, every politician out there, all the way from the courthouse down to the ground level, if they're a politician, they're involved in this thing, makes every cotton picking one of them guilty.
Mm-hmm.
Got a vested interest, therefore they have no authority to even question what's going on.
And they say that this is justice. This is the way you do things, and this is nowhere near justice. This is Luciferian.
Oh, they say just us.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying. This is just us. Y'all just keep paying.
Here's a deposit into Chris administration. Court transfers accountability of funds to Chris, and then it goes through their whole system.
Yep.
And everybody can pause the tape or pause this video and look at it if they want. And then every AO month in reconciliation, so they're doing reconciliations. So some sick ass came in and put this whole thing together. Oh, this is how we'll do it.
Yep.
I mean, you got to sit there and think about all this and how you're going to make it happen.
Keith, I sat in the court up there one day and the judge got mad and he told the lawyer to go outside and settle some of these cases. He said, I'm not going to sit here because I got all day and half of the night because I got 154 cases on the docket. Just one judge in one court. 154 of these cases. So what was the gross intake that day?
Well, no, they're just there to protect you, John. This is for your own protection, right?
I know that's what it says just us.
Uh-huh. That's for your own protection. You want to be safe, don't you, John?
Absolutely. How much and where do I pay it?
You're only safe if you pay them. They'll leave you alone for a while, and then they'll find something else. I don't know why they just don't just come out with it and say, okay, everybody pays us $20 a month, and we'll get it over with. Why hide it under all this fake law and fake this and fake that? I don't understand it. Fake, what do they call them? Fake uh, political parties. They're not national parties and never have been. It's all fake. So why hide all this?
National company policies.
Yeah, here's J.P. Morgan. He's always involved in these. Securities owned by J.P. Morgan. That's a whole story in itself. Back to uh, uh, Louis Caspasier. They stole all of his assets and everything. J.P. Morgan did, along with Rockefeller and all them. There was a big old trust issue there, and it just goes on and on. Rarely held until maturity. These are rarely held until maturity. So it's it is what it is, folks. It's just, what else can you say? You've got a horrible system. Texas Southern disperses for bankruptcy courts.
Yeah, but just because they're very seldom held to maturity, do they give all that money back if they don't hold it to maturity?
I don't know.
I kind of feel they don't.
Well, you got to have a 10% registry fee.
Exactly. At least 10%.
You got to have a 1099 INT. And there's some people that have really been involved in this, but I'm telling you, I mean, in doing the research in this, which is great, is doing the research. But then they come in and they start saying, well, what you do is you fill out this form and that form and blah blah blah. And I'm thinking, why do you want to get involved in this, man? Y'all like having a soul? Because if you don't, that's cool. You go ahead and do it. But if you do, I suggest you stay away from it. You lose your soul for this kind of crap. Here's a Star Solar versus Solar Vision of Montgomery. These are small cases right here. Balance report. They just made little money. This was lunch, lunch money.
Absolutely, little 25 and $50 fine jobs. What happened when your court cost goes up to into the thousands and the millions? What do they make on those little cases?
Little teeny cases. But some of the little teeny cases come into I'm sorry, what is that? $2,307,490,231.51 or 56 cents. That's the ending principal right here.
Yeah,
that's what you get for little cases.
$2.5 billion.
Yeah,
that's them 25-cent cases.
Yeah, here's a $2.5 billion there too.
Yeah.
And this all goes on the stock market. And this is because when you go in there, this is all done under a trust and a personal trust. We've already covered this before. I'll just say it one more time. Your person becomes a personal trust under the Internal Revenue Trust that's held offshore or within one of the U.S. territories. And what they do is you go in there and you're actually the trustor. So essentially what's happening is you're gifting them this money. That's what's going on. You're there to give a gift to the court. That's what's happening. And the prosecutor's trustee, and he's named the beneficiaries. Now the beneficiaries are named by not by the trustee, but the chief judge, because he's the one that's taken in the investments. So when the chief judge signs the order, the administrative order to accept the investment, those investors become the beneficiaries of the trustee, who is the prosecutor. and the judge still remains under the chief judge, a broker in the deal. Then you got the clerk, who's the IRS agent, and then you have the defendant, who's the trustor under the person with your social security number and all that, and you're there to gift everything to the beneficiaries. So that's how they do it. It's under accepting gifts and proof of death to support payment. It's Title 31, Section 3128 and 3113. That's Title 31, Section 3128 and 3113. Okay. So that's where all that comes from. And then it goes down here, ending balance 499 million, $500 million. And the registry fee was $41,610. So not bad, huh? Not a bad day's work. Folks, this was in 2006. Okay, that was a very long time ago in millennials terms. Very long time ago to them.
Yeah, that was 12 years ago, and the courts have increased considerably since then.
Mm-hmm.
The intake.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
So when you know this kind of thing, all right, and you see these types of things, okay, this is one thing that it's difficult to deal with when you know something is going on. Let me show you something. Confidence in judges is in the gutter, and we need term limits to fix it. Oh, that's going to fix it. That'll do it. Oh, just limit the term. That'll fix the whole thing. That'll do it, John. That fixes everything. You just limit the term limits.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, I would have never thought of that. Just limit the term limits, and that fixes the whole country.
That makes it fair, because that gives more people a chance to indulge in this inside trading.
Yeah, lifetime appointments are a bad idea. So if you get rid of the lifetime appointments, man, you'll have justice. You'll have justice. This is how ridiculous. So when you see that, what we just showed you, and then you see this, now you see how ridiculous that looks? Absolutely ridiculous. Trying to get you to say, oh, we just fix it. No. There's a money train here, guys. There ain't no way of fixing this. It's going to have to collapse on itself.
Yeah, look whose picture they used, too.
I know. It's you got to limit the term limits, and that'll fix everything. Nothing fixes this other than you have what they call the right of self-determination, which means you have the right to leave under the law of nations. If the deal has been changed, which it has, you never had a social compact in the first place. But if you did have a social compact and that social compact changed, you have a right to leave. So you have a right to go back to the original government and the original states of the Union and not deal in this mess.
That's correct. 1787, 1789, they did not give you a chance to sign on to that social compact agreement.
That's right. Before 1789, yeah.
Yeah, if you didn't sign on to it, it doesn't apply to you. And I'm not trying to get people to run out there and just quit doing everything, because there is a proper and correct way to do it. And it's not just to go out there and stick a finger up, said I'm out of it.
Yeah, you have to make your political will very clear. And some of the paperwork we've been seeing just doesn't do it. So, and we do have that process all put together. So just letting everybody know, we don't do this, by the way. We don't get involved in anything with the stock market. We don't get involved in any of that. And that's why, if we did, in other words, if we put that in there, and the stock market could use it, they wouldn't care whether it was a continental dollar or a toothpick. They don't care, as long as they can still do this, make money on that system like that. So now you know why you have millions upon millions of people in jail in this country, and actually more in jail here than everywhere else in the world. It's because it's a money racket.
And he stopped and thinks in 2006 when these numbers came up, had so many prisoners coming in and people being locked up. They've had to completely rebuild new jail houses in every county in the states, in the United States. Every one of them have got brand new, privately owned jail houses. So the private owners also make money off of that. That isn't on these numbers.
Right. Every one of the local judges have a stock in that private prison. They have a
Right.
monetary
They,
um,
they got
interest.
they own a share of it, right?
Yeah. And you'll notice one thing if you go back to uh, that article where we talk the Administrative Office of the United States Courts, that one there, I'll show you at the bottom. Okay, this is the ethical standards for judges. This is just basically what we're witnessing. This is just a playtime book. That's all it is. It's just flowers in front of a house to make it look pretty. There's nothing real about this right here. Nothing. Zero real about it. Okay, it's a it's a pop up book basically. There's no standards there at all. And they said the code is the model code of the judicial conduct adopted by the American Bar Association 1972 and revised in 1990 and 2007. That's because you weren't making enough money, so you revised it. But you don't enforce it anyways, okay? It says references to the code of judicial conduct and ethical standards for judges are to the canons 1990 model code, followed by the parallel rule from 2007 model code.
Excuse me, did you say from the canons?
Yeah, that's the canons.
Yeah. How
Yeah,
come the
that's
Pope's got him? How come the Pope laws included into the ethics of the judges?
you've got a foreign monarch. Now listen to this, guys. This is how crazy this is. You have a foreign monarch because see, the Vatican City is an independent nation. You have a foreign monarch that is enforcing ethical standards on judges from a completely separate country, supposedly. Okay,
People,
because they're saying that the United States is a country. Well, we're not saying that. We're saying it's a company, and we all know it's a company. But they're saying, but on the surface, they're saying that the canons are regulating the judges that you're standing in front of, which means that judge is under a foreign monarch.
okay, those numbers you were talking about a while ago, the 2041
Hmm.
and 2024, that's the number of the canon.
Yes.
Yes.
So you have a foreign monarch that is regulating judges in on the surface, supposedly in a foreign country. So guess what, folks? We all know it's a lie. Every bit of it's a lie. That's all there is to it.
And that foreign dignitary, whatever you want to call him, can't even regulate his own people and keep them ethical.
He can't even rule 1,000 people
That's right.
because every one of them are doing children and all that other stuff. So
That's the part
you've
I'm
got this
getting at.
you've
He
got a
can't
pedophile. You have a pedophile in charge of what you consider a U.S. court system. And then they come back. We're laughing because it's so absurd. This is the biggest absurdity I've ever seen. It's the biggest joke I've ever seen.
and it's no laughing matter either when you come right down to it.
Not for the victims, no.
No, it is not. Anybody that even thinks about having to go to that court, it's not a laughing matter to them.
No.
And if they're living and they're walking, they're subject to be in that court any day for some of these idiotic policies they got in their rainwater deal and what have you.
Right. Now you understand why it's independence, why they keep saying it's independent. It's independent. Well, yeah, because it's under a foreign monarch. So, guess what, guys? All right, this is where we're at right now. People that think they're U.S. citizens don't have a judiciary. They don't have any kind of court system at all. That is, they can call their own. Okay, you don't have any national political parties. They're 527 organizations. They're private companies. You don't have any political parties.
How can they be U.S. citizens, Keith?
You don't have any church. I'm just talking about the people that think they're U.S. citizens.
Yeah, I know. But Walmart can't have citizens.
Right. So you've got then you've got no churches because those churches aren't yours. They belong to a foreign monarch. You have no monetary system. It doesn't belong to you. It belongs to the crown, the city of London. You have no military because you have zero say in where the military goes and what it does. There is no vote. And you offer your children as the trustor and gift your children to a foreign country under a foreign monarch and a foreign monetary system. And that's not yours, and your children die and are maimed for that. And at the same time, those same people, based on our notices here, are attacking unborn babies that are protected under international law. When is it when people are going to wake up and realize that the system they're supporting is attacking them every which way? And what, 8 ways to Sunday? Is it 5 ways to Sunday or 6 ways to Sunday? What's the term? What's the saying?
6 ways.
Yeah, there it is. 6 ways to Sunday. That's it.
6 days and then Sunday. You don't
Gotcha.
have that 6 days and Sunday. Sunday's covered on this lower corner right there.
Gotcha.
For your curse.
So you got 6 ways to Sunday. Okay. That they're attacking you. So the only time you don't get attacked is when they're in their churches begging for forgiveness for the crap they just did in the last 6 days.
And then they pass the plate and want you to pay for that little bit of information too.
That show they just put on for you for an hour or two. Now, I'm just looking at this and saying, this is absolutely ridiculous. And if you're going to fall for this, go for it. You want to live in that? Go for it. That's fine. But this is what happens. Every one of them that say, well, you guys are crazy, right? They'll say, you guys are just nuts. There's no way, blah, 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 blah. Until they get in the court. Then all of a sudden they get screwed over and they're on a mission to fix it. And guess who they contact? They contact this government every single time. Mainly we get people that are victims of that system.
How many cases we got going right now, Keith?
Many cases.
We got 1,200 people. There's about 1,100 of them got judicial issues.
Well, we have a little more than that, but yeah.
Yeah, no, I just use those for numbers.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's about 10%. About 10% of us people over here don't have judicial issues over there.
Right. Then they go, violations of law, violations of court rules. Who's going to enforce it? Who the hell's going to enforce these? Think about it, guys. It's a joke. So to think that you guys have a judicial system, I don't know. We got some land to sell you. It's in the bottom of Lake Michigan. It's only $10,000. We'll sell it to you. Because that's what basically what they're selling you is blue sky. All of it's blue sky. Look up blue sky laws in 1960s. They got rid of the blue sky laws in 1960s because they knew they were getting ready to sell everybody blue sky.
Let me know when you get that land sold, because I got a couple of snorkels they're gonna need. I'll sell them that too.
Okay. So, folks, you have all the empathy in the world when dealing with this. We get it. Who we're talking to are the dummies that have no clue what's going on, what they think is government, and what they've been sold, and they haven't woken up yet. That's who we're actually talking to. When you got an Illuminati seal sitting on a USPS building, that tells you something. That's total satanic. So everything that you know is an illusion. That State of the Union wasn't for you. It's all for all the stakeholders, all the people that are involved.
Yep.
Now dig this. I just want to say this one thing before we go. Okay. The people in this government, in the government of the United States of America, have not been paid since 2010. We have money, but since you have the satanic system in place, it's supposed to actually accept our currency. Obviously, they're satanic, so they're not going to do that. They're always going to go against their own policies. All right. The federal employees don't get paid for 35 days, and they're whining like little bitches. So, this is what we're going to tell you. People in that system have allegiance up into the paycheck, and that's it. You stop paying them, you get the finger. They're gone. So, who's truly allegiant to their country? Who has allegiance to their country and has this country's back, and who doesn't? Think of it that way. We've got people that'll work sometimes 12, 16 hours a day still without getting paid so far. They do get the pay, they just can't spend it anywhere on the continental dollars, which is the same as not really getting paid. But they're saving up. Those people keep going because they love their country. You don't pay as federal employees for 35 days. They're already giving everybody the finger.
35 days, huh?
That's all it took. 35 days, and they were turned against them.
And I've been working on this, trying to put it together for the last 35 years, and I still hadn't drawn a dime for it.
Right.
But yet I had to go to their damn courts up there 7 different times to pay them to make money off of what I was supposedly did wrong by claiming my right of. Go ahead, Keith.
Having allegiance to your country.
That's right.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
And so anybody who loved the country, I think we've proved ourselves, don't you? I think we have. We've proven our love for this country. And that country meaning the United States of America, not the United States. That's just a company that's, owned by the Netherlands. So I'm not really worried about them.
I think we've proved it within a couple of dollars anyway.
Mm-hmm. And it only took 35 days for federal employees to start getting so pissed off that they would turn their back on their own country. Okay, I'll give you an example. Anybody want to say their allegiance is to the United States? Go without pay for 6 months.
You know what the worst thing of it is, Keith? They're military. They're forced to work. They've been jammed down so tight that they're losing their houses, their cars, and their families on account of shutdown
Mm-hmm.
and not being paid. Now that says thank you a hell of a bit for
Mm-hmm.
the people that work for them, doesn't it?
Oh yeah.
They don't care about no one but except their own particular self. That's it.
That's right. So you either you can go back to the States of the Union. It's going to be rough, but people that are allegiant to their country, they do it. They do it without question. Yes, I'll do that. So the people we have allegiance to their country. They love their country. Those are the real ones. Those are the real patriots. Those others that have to get paid and stuff. Oh, I'll do it, but I gotta get paid. Okay. All right, you're just a hired hand. You're a mercenary. You have no allegiance to anything. And we've proven it. Our people have proven who they are. That's our national character. As far as character of the U.S., yeah, stop paying them 60 days. See what happens. They were revolting in a heartbeat. Leave. Screw you. I'm out of here. So that means you just got a bunch of hired hands. That's all it is. It's nothing more than a plantation with a bunch of hired hands that don't have any allegiance to their country whatsoever.
Yep, absolutely.
So if you do, check it out. Here's your challenge. Let's go. Let's tell all the agents up there, go 6 months without pay. See how quick how long you stay. Go 6 months. We're only asking 180 days. Go 180 days without any pay. We'll see how much you love your country.
This also tells you how they can spend for $140,000 a year job, that they can spend $300 or $400 million to get in office,
Hmm.
because they know they can steal enough back through the courts
Back
to
through the
pay
stock market. Yeah.
through the stock market, the court, and make money.
Hmm.
Yep. That's who you vote for. That's what you vote for them, to put them in there. If you go to the polls and vote, which I don't, and I
Yeah. I
never
mean,
will.
if you think about it, why would a man pay $1.5 million to get into a job that pays $170,000 a year?
Exactly.
Then that kind of tells you what's going on. It's called insider trading.
Yep.
And I actually heard that by the head of a secretary for the one of the state's legislatures. I happened to meet him in a Waffle House. It was a Waffle House. I was just sitting there having breakfast, and we started talking. And he told me what was going on.
Yep.
This was back in '96. So just keep in mind, guys, that uh, this is over. Okay, you're not going to get anywhere, especially with this government, or any BS, or talk anybody into allegiance or keep giving and being trustors and stuff like that. It's over. So just don't bother. Thanks for listening to the 115th broadcast of the T-ROH Show. We'll see you next week.